Hey guys, Jaren here. So it took me exactly 1 year and 4 months to get the Canadian PR. That's it. That's the simple truth. But if you're still here, then that means that you want to know the entire immigration process, the entire timeline. So in this video, that is exactly what we are going to do. I'm going to explain the entire timeline of my process so that you have a better idea as to what you can expect. As a bonus step, somewhere in between the video, I will tell you what it exactly cost me to get the Canadian PR. What are we waiting for? Let's get started. So the first step I did was to give my IELTS. You can give two types of examinations to prove your English proficiency to the Canadian government. IELTS, or you can also give CELPIP, that's a custom-made English proficiency test for Canada. But most of us would go for IELTS just because there are more exam centers around us for IELTS. I gave the IELTS on the 9th of October 2020. This is when the entire process starts for me. And on 12th of October 2020, I got my result back. And for those of you who want to know what my result was, my overall band score was 8.5, which is pretty good. Listening was 9, reading was 9, writing was 7.5, and speaking was 8.5. So that's how I got the overall band score of 8.5. So this is the first step that I gave, was the IELTS. So after IELTS, the second step that I did was my ECA, or in other words, Educational Credential Assessment. I did this through WES, which stands for World Education Services. There are a list of agencies that can do your ECA for the Canadian government. I went with WES again because this is the most common one. Now, what is ECA? Educational Credential Assessment is nothing but trying to see what all of your degrees are equivalent to in Canada. So basically, they are trying to equate your education from your home country with that of the Canadian standards. So that is what happens here. So the process for this, I started on October 17th, 2020. What I did was I tried the free equivalency tool that is there on the WES website. You can look it up. And on 29th October, I decided that I'll apply for the WES. And on 14th December 2020, I got the final evaluation back. So yeah, there is a time that it takes for the ECA to be done. Reason being, you will have to go to your college or university and get your certificates signed or attested and sent to WES. Now there are a lot of complications in this. Some universities directly send it to WES and some others don't. So that's the reason I would suggest you guys to do ECA and IELTS in the beginning, even before creating your Express Entry profile, because this is going to take a lot of time. And if you are getting picked in the Express Entry pool, then you would want these things to be ready with you. So IELTS scores are valid for 2 years, so you don't have to worry about whether this score will get expired before you start applying. So that's one thing that you have to keep in mind. Also, the ECA from WES is 5 years validity, so you don't have to worry in that department. Also, another thing to note is that you need the IELTS score to create your profile and put your Express Entry profile. Also, it is good to have your ECA done so that you know what your degree is equivalent to and there is no hiccups or confusions later. So that was my second step. So after I did first step, which is IELTS, and second step, which is ECA, I had the confidence to create the Express Entry profile, and that is exactly what I did. On the 18th of December 2020, I created my Express Entry profile and entered the pool. Quite soon, on the 23rd of December 2020, I got picked from the pool and I got the ITA, or invitation to apply for the Express Entry program. You would have seen that it was a quick pick, right? So the reason that happened is because I knew that there was going to be a pick on 23rd of December 2020, and my CR score that was shown on the Canadian website was 472. The cutoff at that time was 469, so I was pretty confident that I'll get picked up, and that is exactly what happened. So that was my third step. I got picked, I got my ITA, which is invitation to apply. So after the third step, which is that I got my ITA, or invitation to apply, the next step was to submit the entire application with all the documents proving the information that we gave in the Express Entry profile. So this is a step that is very important and you need to spend time here. But there is a cutoff. Basically, there is a time period in which you should submit the completed application. The general timeline is 60 days from ITA, but this can vary. For example, in COVID time, I think there was a stretch on this time period because, of course, institutions were closed and it might be hard for you to get your documents ready. So exceptional cases, there might be a breather, but generally it's 60 days after ITA. So that's the reason I said you to get your IELTS and ECA done even before submitting your Express Entry profile. In this step, you might need your documents such as your PCC, which is a police clearance certificate. You can give your upfront medical exam. You can get your ECA done, so you have your educational qualifications proven. You will need your proof of funds. You will need a letter from your employer. If like me, if you're showing that you have a sibling in Canada, you might need to show birth certificate or their PR card or any certificates that can prove that you are their sibling or blood relative. So that might be needed as well. Your degree certificates, of course. So such certificates are all the things that you need to collect and keep ready. Now this I'm not going in detail in this video, but for each of these items I will create separate big videos explaining the entire details, and I will try to link that up here. And once you have everything, upload them into the website and then submit the profile. So in my case, after I got the ITA, I collected all the documents and I submitted the application and paid the application fee and the right to PR fee on the 12th of January 2021. That is when your application is considered to be started or submitted by IRCC. From then, they say that you will get a decision within 6 months. That was the time period that they take to give most of the decisions. But that didn't work out during COVID. I will talk about that in a minute. So yeah, I submitted my application and paid the application fee and right to PR fee of Canadian dollars 1,410. So that was the fee that I paid, for those of you who want to know. So that's roughly around 84,000 today's money in Indian rupees, but when I paid it was around 83,000. So January 12th 2020 I submitted my application. After this step, after you submitted your application, generally speaking, the burden on you is lifted because most of the work that you had to do is completed because you have submitted the completed application. Make sure that you take time and make sure that all the documents that are needed and listed in the website are given properly. So keep your documents ready. Don't get frustrated or tensed and submit a wrong document. Keep all the documents ready and submit the right documents according to the list. So once you've done that, like I said, a big burden is lifted off your shoulders because the next step is basically waiting, because now there is nothing that we can do. It is all IRCC that has to do anything on your application. So it's only waiting until you get your BIL, BIL, which is Biometrics Information Letter. So once you get that, that is when you know that there has been some movement on your application and you have to go to VAC, which is a Visa Application Center in Bangalore where I went to VFS and gave the biometrics. So I got the BIL or Biometrics Information Letter on 4th of February 2021. But I was waiting for this. I got in a month. That was pretty quick, but I couldn't do anything with that because if you remember, that was a COVID period. There was a strict lockdown at that time, and in Bangalore the VFS was not giving any appointments. So I had to wait till they opened up, and I got the appointment on 10th of March 2021. So basically that was like almost 1.5 months of wait after I got the bill, and then I got my biometrics done. Biometrics is basically sent directly from the VFS to the IRCC, so you don't have to do anything. The same day you get your biometrics done, it gets updated on the IRCC website as well. So that was my 6th step. So after I gave my biometrics, which was 10th March 2021, it was a long dreaded wait that I had to go through because there was no update on the application whatsoever. I kept waiting, kept checking the website for any update on my application. There was nothing. It was really hard looking at an application that was not moving anywhere. So finally, after it had been 8 months since I submitted the application, on 20th of September 2021, I finally decided I will apply for the GCM Notes, and I did that. So what is GCM Notes? It's basically like RTA in India. You can get information on government things. So that is GCM Notes. So I applied for it through my brother-in-law who was in Canada at that time. And when I got back the report, I was shocked because all the steps had passed. It is quite a lot of details in that result you get from this GCM Notes, but everything was pointing that everything was okay. The COPR was not issued basically, or that step was not there in the entire GCM Notes. The reason could have been that they didn't have enough manpower to process all the applications because of COVID, or they were not entertaining people to come to Canada at that point of time, again because of COVID. So both reasons are understandable, but there was nothing I could do. Yeah, so that is GCM Notes. I just wanted to put in there for anyone who wants to know that there is a method that you can see what is happening with your application. So again, it was a long wait, and finally on Jan 20th of 2022, yeah, it had been almost an year already, I got a request to resubmit my medicals because the medicals was going to expire. Yeah, so the medicals is valid for only 1 year. I did the medicals even before I submitted the application, so it was expiring, and so they suggested that I get my medicals again instead of risking the fact that it might be expired while they take the decision. And if that's the case, they can't take the decision, they will have to withheld or decline the application basically. So on Jan 20th, 2022, I got the request to resubmit medicals, and that's something that I did immediately. So after I had submitted the re-medicals, I thought that it was going to be a green light. I would get the decision pretty soon, but again it was a dreaded wait. In March is when I get another notification, but it was not a decision. It was again to resubmit another document, and this time it was the police clearance certificate. This happened on March 14th, 2022, because again the Indian PCC was expiring. It only has a validity of 1 year, so I had to resubmit it again on March 14th of 2022. And then finally, after a long wait, on March 17th of 2022, I get an email from IRCC telling that there has been a decision. Basically, this is called the PPR, or Passport Submission Request. I've been waiting for this ever since. I still remember to the day taking the print of that email and setting up my envelope to send the passport for stamping. So that was on March 17th. So after I had received the PPR, I had to send the passport for submission through a courier service. This was because it was COVID times and we couldn't go to the VFS directly to submit the passport, and I had already signed up for this courier service. So I reinitiated that on March 18th. I submitted the collection request of the passport via courier, and on April 8th, 2022, that's when I got the final decision that I've got the Canadian PR updated on my profile online. And then on 11th of April 2022, they had signed the decision envelope with the stamped passport and the COPR, and it was sent to me. And shortly after, in July, I moved to Canada. So this has been my entire journey of the immigration to Canada via the Express Entry Federal Skilled Worker Program. I know a lot of you will have a lot of doubts regarding a lot of steps that I just laid in front of you. The reason I did this entire video was just to give the timeline perspective as to how long things took and what are the steps I did, so you get true information out of this. Hope you liked it. You will have many questions, and like I said, I will make separate videos on each of these steps. But if you have any questions, please do put them in the comments. Hope you like the video. Please do share the video to people who actually are looking to come to Canada, so that it will be helpful for them. And please subscribe to the channel so that you can know when I post a new video. And if you like the video, of course, click on the like button. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.